Hey guys, welcome back to my channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got a really exciting one for you. We're talking about Delta 9 Cannabis. Now we've already covered this stock on the channel before. We did a deep dive a few months ago, but for today's video, we've actually got the CEO joining us for an exclusive interview. So I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. Before we get into it, please take a second to smash that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel itself, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think of Delta 9. They just released preliminary Q2 numbers, so we'll talk about that in this video and whether or not you're holding this company currently. Now without further ado, you guys, let's jump right in and get into today's video. Okay guys, so thanks for joining us today. We've got the CEO of Delta 9 Cannabis, John Arbuthnot, joining us on the channel to answer some questions and give us an update on his company. So John, thanks so much for being here.
Bryce, thank you for having me.
Now we'll jump right into it. For those of you who maybe haven't seen the previous update I did on Delta 9 or aren't familiar with the company, John, can you just give us a quick overview of what you guys do and kind of the business model?
Yeah, for sure. So Delta 9 Cannabis, we're one of the oldest cannabis companies operating in the Canadian space. Founded in 2012. 2013, we were licensed by Health Canada on the medical side of the business. Early years of the company were quite modest as a small privately held licensed producer supplying medical patients across the country. 2017 became the real growth year for us. We raised about $10 million privately throughout the year, listed our shares on the Toronto Venture Exchange in November 2017. Since that time, we've raised about $85 million through a mix of debt and equity to fund the expansion of our various businesses. First business segment is the Health Canada licensed cultivation, processing, and distribution business. We're primarily focused on cannabis flower, but we also manufacture cannabis pre-rolls. We work with third parties to manufacture Delta 9 branded derivative products such as ingestible oils, vape products, etc. And then we distribute that across 6 provincial markets currently. So we are across all of the western provinces, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, as well as Ontario and Newfoundland. So giving us coast-to-coast reach for product distribution to upwards of 25 million Canadian consumers. From there, we vertically integrate into the retail segment. We opened our first bricks-and-mortar retail store on legalization day in 2018. Since then, we've grown that chain of retail stores to be 12 operating stores currently, and continuing to expand that chain of stores across Western Canada. Very much like vertical integration into retail, gives us significant ability to push the distribution of our products through to the end consumer. About 25% of revenue in Delta 9 stores is coming from Delta 9 branded products. From there, it gives us the ability to put our brand right in the community in a bricks and mortar cannabis retail store and really push that brand to the end consumer, as well as giving us live data feedback on product trends, pricing strategies from our competitors, etc. So we see huge value in vertically integrating ourselves within the Canadian market and driving distribution of our product to the end consumer. Third business segment is what we call our B2B or infrastructure segment. Essentially is sales of our proprietary growing platform that we call our GrowPod to third parties across North America. We effectively help build out facilities. We provide consulting and licensing services. We sell cannabis genetics. So call this exposure to the more picks and shovels side of the industry, where we can help other industry entrepreneurs start up their own cannabis operations. Started setting up a few facilities on the Canadian space. We've now expanded that into the United States market as well, building out now upwards of 24 facilities across North America. We'll touch a little bit more on the growth strategy toward the end of the call here today. But those 3 business segments are the diversified approach for the Delta 9 group of companies. Company has shown significant growth in the first years of legalization. When we listed our shares in 2017, very early stage, about $1 million in revenues that year. The next year, the first year of legalization, was $7.6 million. The next year was $32 million. Last year, 2020, $52 million in top-line revenues, and company recently provided revenue guidance for Q2, showing again record quarterly revenues coming for Q2 this year. Our shares now trade on the main board Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol DN. We also trade over the counter in the US under the symbol DLTNF.
Right on. Yeah, super exciting stuff. And you actually touched on it, and this is a great segue, but Q2 numbers, you guys have those coming out, I think, the middle of next month. Can you give us any insight on those?
Yeah, absolutely. So company pre-released revenue guidance for our second quarter this year, so that's the period ending June 30th, guiding investors to revenue between $15.5 million and $17.25 million. That's comparable to $13.2 million in the first quarter this year and about $13 million for the same period last year. So starting to get back into growth mode. Q1 for us this year was a miss on revenue, industry headwinds and some seasonality factors coming in, showing an overall weak Q1 period. But Q2, we were looking to get that guidance out to the market, demonstrate that growth is back in the story. All three of those business segments now contributing top-line revenue, and investors can look forward to positive growth in top line into the second quarter this year. We will release those results on August 16th, I believe, pre-market open. So investors can look forward to that full financial picture as of that date.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously tremendous growth as you've talked about here. Now, switching gears a little bit, I wanted to get some insight. I've been hearing a little bit about your Joints for Jabs program. And yeah, if you could give the viewers or subscribers maybe a bit of insight there as well, that'd be great.
Yeah, so, Joints for Jabs program, I think we announced a few weeks ago, really is a vaccine rewards program. People who are fully vaccinated can come into our stores, demonstrate their vaccine, or I guess they are fully vaccinated, look to participate in a rewards program where we're giving away grand prizes, we're giving away free joints, hence Joints for Jabs.
Yeah.
Delta 9 branded swag and apparel, really saw this as our opportunity to align our corporate messaging with that of our province and our federal government, emphasizing how important it is that people get out and get vaccinated. So saw that as a part of how we can contribute to our community and getting people out and vaccinated and doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Catchy name too, so that's awesome to be a part of that. Now, for people who do want to see the company in action, get some more interaction with you guys, any upcoming conferences or anything like that the viewers could keep an eye out for?
Yeah, we will be participating in the virtual Money Show on July 13th, as well as the SNN Cannabis Conference on August 18th. Then into the later part of the year, we start to get back to in-person conferences with borders and things opening up. October 13th, 14th, we will be at the Benzinga Cannabis Conference in New York, and then the following week at MJ BizCon down in Las Vegas, where we will actually be showcasing a full grow pod at the conference.
Nice.
So to see not only the corporate presentations, etc., you can also get a look at a fully built grow pod down in Las Vegas later this year.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so lots of action. And speaking of New York and Las Vegas, what are your plans for international U.S. expansion? I've also heard some talk about uplist to the NASDAQ. Can you give us some info there?
And so something the company's looking at would be an uplist in the U.S. I guess firstly I'll touch on the operations side. Again, the B2B side of our business, the infrastructure side, that's where we can really get active over the near term in the U.S. market. Last year, we built out facilities in Maine and Michigan. We're looking near term towards an expansion project in Maine, as well as a project in Montana. We've now hired a dedicated sales force that is focused purely on the United States market, looking at these state-over-state regulations as markets are opening up. Is there an opportunity for us to get in there, build out facilities, and really get in early, participate in some of the influx of capital that's coming into those expansion projects as states begin to legalize? Longer run, a lot of this is positioning out in front of U.S. federal legalization, which we feel will happen next, I would say, 3 to 4 years with the current administration in place. A lot of excitement towards U.S. legalization. Obviously, the Canadian market, large opportunity for us. The U.S. market, obviously, substantially larger by demographics. So, huge market opportunity. I think we've demonstrated we have a sustainable, profitable business model. We're ready to now take that down into the U.S. On a NASDAQ listing, our New York listing. Certainly something the company is exploring. I think long run, you need to see that exposure to U.S. investors. We've seen the benefits for Canadian companies that have been listed in the U.S. And when we see the real momentum come back into the cannabis market, they're typically seeing the largest exposure and lift in their share price as a result of that. So I think important for the company to consider an expanded capital market strategy into the United States, certainly something we're considering in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, I know as an investor and someone who runs a channel that talks about a lot of these Canadian companies, the U.S. exposure is definitely something that people are looking for. So that's great. Now that's a good segue into kind of the overall growth strategy over the next couple of years. You touched on the different business segments in your initial overview of Delta 9. You've got the retail, the wholesale, the B2B. What is kind of the 2-year plan for each one of those segments? I guess in addition or to complement the U.S. expansion you just touched on?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess firstly, the cultivation, the wholesale and product development distribution side of the business, really a few initiatives there. We've been really focused on cost efficiencies. We've been driving down our cost per gram of production significantly over the last few years, down to 60 cents a gram in the first quarter this year. Obviously, a very competitive landscape in the Canadian market, so cost efficiency is really key there. We're really looking to maximize the utility of our existing assets here. We have an 80,000 square foot cultivation facility, about 95,000 square feet of flowering canopy on multiple floors within that facility. There's still opportunity for us to expand our cultivation capacity. We're currently annualized at about 8,300 kilos. We feel certain tweaks to our production methodologies can see that towards 10 to 12,000 kilos as we really begin to maximize the utility of those assets. We're continuing to invest in automation. Pre-rolls automation is definitely on the list for us, expand our ability to manufacture pre-rolls in large amounts on our existing site here. Otherwise, it's working with third parties, again, on these 2.0 and derivative products, vape products, ingestible oils, concentrates. We will ultimately look to have the full scope of those types of products being sold under the Delta 9 brand through our retail stores. So from there, it's that vertical integration strategy. We need to see more exposure to retail. We need to see more growth in our retail segment. That's coming through 2 avenues. Firstly is just organic store build-outs. We identify good locations, good location partners. We build out the stores we operate under our brands. Beyond that, it's M&A. We are looking very seriously at ramping up the consolidation in the Canadian cannabis retail space. Even markets like Alberta that are saturated now for the number of retail stores operating, there's a good opportunity to get in and consolidate the activity in those types of markets, inject our systems, improve the existing operations, but leverage the existing customer base. So M&A is certainly something that we will be more active in now into the fall and into next year. Again, we're looking to expand our store chain from 12 stores currently, targeting 20 operating stores by the end of this year. I would like to see that number grow significantly through 2022 as well, again, as we expand that vertical integration push. On the B2B side, we're still, I think, seeing expansion opportunities here in Canada, a number of different projects that we are building out currently in the Canadian market. But the real focus then from there shifts to the U.S. as borders start to open up here, trade shows, conferences start to play a larger part of the marketing strategy for that business segment. I would expect more even of our focus to shift into the U.S. and other international growth markets into 2022. But certainly, we saw how the industry expansion played out in Canada, millions and millions of square feet of flowering canopy and production capacity built out in the Canadian market on that lead into legalization. I think it stands to reason that we're going to see the same growth trajectory across all sorts of international markets as they begin to open up. This Delta 9 Grow Pod platform can be put in any facility anywhere in the world. So it's that turnkey solution for cannabis industry operators that I think becomes the real value proposition for that segment. Those 3 business units, again, that diversified revenue push, I think has been quite successful for us. We've seen that where certain business units show an element of weakness, the other business segments are able to continue to contribute growth. And that's where we've consistently produced top-line growth for the last several years.
Right on. Yeah, the Grow Pods are definitely exciting, and we touched on that in my last video. So for any of you who maybe missed that deep dive or company analysis, I would definitely take a look at that if you're interested in Delta 9. John, obviously a lot going on with the company, so we appreciate you being here today. We'll keep our eyes tuned for August 16th, I think you said, for Q2 numbers. Looking forward to seeing that. And we'll probably get an update video out at that point in time. So really appreciate you joining us today, and looking forward to seeing how the year progresses for you guys.
Bryce, thank you for having me. Any investors who are interested, please check us out at delta9.ca or invest.delta9.ca for any investor presentations, financial information, etc. But Bryce, thank you again for having me on.
Awesome. Appreciate it.